What is going on, everybody? In this video, we're providing you with the state of the market and stock picks for May 20th, 2022. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, consider subscribing, as I do provide daily and weekly updates to get you prepared for the day and the week ahead in this lovely market that we have indeed. So let's get straight into state of the market. I did have a bit of a mishap last night and uploaded the wrong video yesterday. But I did correct that this morning, so I do apologize for that. Nonetheless, this video, I said this was kind of our landing spot that we needed to determine, are we up or down from this point? Again, if we do break this level, this current level that we're looking at here, uh, typically break below the 3860, we could flush another 150 points. We have strong resistance down here. We'll definitely get a big bounce out of here if we do come down that far. But in my mind, I think we could potentially be creating a solid base here. Now, I don't know all the candlesticks as far as this particular wick here. Could be a reversal. I'm not particularly sure about that, but nonetheless, there is not a lot of buyers. It was really a struggle today with the current market and where it was sitting. It wanted to rip, but there were just way too many sellers in the market. There's still way too much fear in the markets as what's been going on, particularly with value, because value has really brought a lot of things to the forefront on how value is getting hit. So there isn't really a safe haven that's been kind of holding us up for the majority of the year, considering tech has taken one heck of a beating all year. So where do we go from here? What I'm seeing here, technical wise, it looks like we could actually pop tomorrow. But one thing, and the reason I say that is because we do have, it could be considered a lower low here. It could have been a break and a retest because it closed lower. So we could just potentially sell tomorrow. Could strongly happen. We got option expiration tomorrow, so that very well could be the case. Normally, option expiration, you typically have a pretty heavy sell day. Whether if that's not in the morning, it'll be towards the afternoon typically. It's not always the case, but typically there is an option expiration. There's some heavy selling. Maybe it's first thing in the morning. Maybe it's the last thing during the day. Maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe we continue to push back up. Not really particularly sure here, but this is the turning point I've been talking about. We have to see how we open, and this is why every overnight session really matters, because when we go up, now this is what we really have to pay attention to, because every time we essentially go roughly about, what is this, about 80 points, we typically get, these big point percentages. It's a 200-point run, and then we have a massive crash down. It's been happening. So do we turn from this point? Do we run up another 140 points and then slam back down? Could be a strong possibility. I'm kind of thinking that's the way we might play out. I think we might play a chop into this wedge. Trying to go into next week. We got the beige book, and then shortly after we have the FOMC meeting to determine rates again from that point. I think the beige book will kind of give us a little more insight. It might allow us to run and break out of this wedge and have a little bit of a rally beforehand. Again, Powell did reiterate that he likes where the current market level is being priced in. So that kind of put us down. That's essentially what he said. Remember, he said that just the other day on Tuesday, opened up Wednesday, and we flushed. So the market wanted to bring it back down to where he said it was at a good level. In my mind, that's what I'm thinking. I've been talking about this level. So we really want to see, again, tomorrow, if we rip, we definitely need to see some strength. If the market opens flat, it could potentially attempt to rip again like it did today, this morning. But the thing is if it's really struggling, and if you go down to this is why I watch the 1 hour a lot, because when I was watching this today, the candlestick opened around roughly, opened up essentially right here, and it pushed and retested. And it was extremely weak when it was hitting this. All the stocks were weak. Value was continuing to really sell hard. Banks were getting rejected and selling hard. Tech was selling hard. So I took the short here and rode this all the way down. and then it held this bottom. You can call this a double bottom if you want, but then it really struggled to break that all day. And then when it did break it, you did have an hourly 20 that it hadn't tested in over a day. It had a hard rejection off of that, and now it's back to where we're at. So the real thing to watch here tomorrow is if we attempt to try to break this 39.24 mark tomorrow, and we can't, we could potentially flush all the way back down to the 38.58 and try to break it. Otherwise, I think what we could do, another strong possibility, could be considered a lower high here. Maybe we run back up and we try to retest that 20 EMA daily and the 20 EMA monthly. Could be a strong possibility, but like I've always stated, when you're looking at the EMAs and how they, majority of the time play out, what they typically do. Now I'm looking at the monthly EMAs, which the 50 is down here. They're in purple. So typically what happens is you'll get a break, a retest to that 20. This happens on every time frame. It's not just on these higher time frames. They just carry more weight on the higher time frames. So typically what happens, you get a break, a retest, and then you'll flush down to the 50. Then you'll get your reversal. But again, on the higher time frames, you're not going to exactly touch the lines. The higher time frames, you can get pretty close, but you don't typically touch it. Normally, if you touch it, that means it's more likely going to hit and break. It might get a weaker bounce than you typically would if it gets caught closer to that line and pops back. So just be mindful of that. But ultimately, break, retest, hard rejection was expected. So tomorrow we definitely have to watch this level again. If it breaks the 38.57, and again, technical wise, what I would typically look for technical wise is it for now to flush down to the 50. It's not saying it can't pop up. It could attempt to pop up tomorrow, but if we get option expiration, we get a lot more heavy sell pressure going into the weekend, and after everything that's occurred, after these massive drops, in again, key being that value stocks are getting pummeled right now, which has been holding us. If tech breaks tomorrow and value continues to sell, or if tech can't hold us because value is selling, this thing could flush again, trying to hit that 50. So we could have a big potential 100, 150, or probably not 150, but probably roughly around 80 to 100 point drop tomorrow could potentially happen if it does break, right? So you got to really watch this level. If it does break, we're going to try to flush down to that level. And then typically, again, that's normally the reversal. Anywhere in this zone, I think is a reversal zone. And I do span a lot of this area, but you have to understand that right now you're looking more at the higher time frame because it can be, I think, anywhere in the zone. It doesn't mean that's going to be 100%, but more than likely, I feel around this zone somewhere we should be okay, especially with Powell saying that he likes where things are priced in currently. It's not saying it won't sell more, not saying it can't go to zero, because you should always be expecting stuff to go to zero. But I think we were at a pretty good reversal spot. So again, a lot can happen tomorrow. Just really depends where we land. Every night I've talked about that. It's just the way the market is. You have to see where we land. Again, if we open flat, I think there's a strong possibility we could pop. If we gap down under this level, then we're going to see a pretty heavy flush tomorrow. In my opinion, I'm not really sure if we'll gap down or not, but there was a really strong struggle today. So we have to see. Again, if it does hold this level, I do think it will pop tomorrow, but we will see. Bitcoin's still holding that level, that 30, just like the market. As long as the market holds and pushes up, I think Bitcoin can make it its way back up without a problem. Again, I don't think it's going to drop much lower than this. Anything's a possibility, but we'll have to see where we go from there. And then tomorrow, the ones, again, I'm typically watching. Now, if we really flush, this is one to really watch, Tesla. Now, if we do flush is one I'm really watching, Tesla, of course. If it breaks this 698, which it was flirting with it today, if it does break this, you could get a heavy flush. Again, we're kind of looking around that. Again, we're looking at that 20, right? We tested the 20, something I just talked about. We could be going for that 50. And if we do aim for that 50, you're looking at a $500 Tesla, which is pretty insane. I didn't think we'd see that anytime soon, but here we are again, potentially talking about a $500 Tesla if it does break this level and continue to sell. And one thing that's kind of interesting here is Aapl again is showing tons of weakness. Now, Apple is not typically one to show so much weakness, and it's held through so much. But now it's just continuing to sell. Even today, it was the first tech to be selling, which is definitely not a good, which is definitely not something you want to see. Is one of your lead. Uh, it's definitely not a good one to see one of your industry tech leaders to be selling as heavy as it has. Now, looking at the weekly here, we have a pretty much an open playground, open sandbox here, all the way down to the 109 on the weekly. Let's check out the monthly. On the monthly, we are just breaking below. Now, this is a really key level here. You need to actually move this up. So this is going to be interesting tomorrow. If Apple opens below this 141 tomorrow, this is the monthly. All the other techs have done this, right? All the other techs have broken and retested. Tesla or Apple has not. Apple carries a lot of weight. If this opens again tomorrow below this 4130 mark or 40, we'll say 142 mark tomorrow, and it attempts to retest it and gets rejected, this thing will bring down the rest of the market. And if value continues to sell, you're going to see some heavy flushing tomorrow. Google is really struggling and can't break. These are concerns here. You're at a critical level. They had really attempted this morning to try to break, and they just could not. And they've been struggling all day. Facebook broke, retested 20, and has come down. Amazon, again, same thing, just like Google. It's trying to break back up, and it can't. It keeps coming back down. It's a very big sign of weakness and something to be concerned about. And same with Microsoft, right? These are all your industry leader techs that are getting pummeled. Aapl, this is one I called out last night. And this one, it's been tempting to try to break out and really start and flush today. It did make some value back. So you definitely want to kind of watch the value. Airbnb try to come back today. If they can continue to push up, we might be okay. We'll take a look at Walmart. Continuing to sell, but not as much today. So it is holding somewhat. That's kind of a good sign. We don't want these things to flush too heavy. Target's still struggling. AMD, the chips have been strong. I think the chips have been one of the ones. Where's AMD? The chips have been one of the ones that have been playing really well. And it tried to make a comeback as well today, but it retested it, broke the 50, tested the 201, and then popped back up to the 50, retested. Now we're selling back off. This thing could continue to sell. This might be a good one to short tomorrow if we can break that 20 and the 200 EMA. So essentially that 94 mark. If it breaks that, again, this thing could do some heavy flushing from that point. So you do have some support at the 92 mark. But it could potentially flush all the way back down to 84 levels. And considering that chips have kind of taken over as being one of the leaders, I know energy has been extremely strong in a lot of this. It'd be interesting to see how they do going into tomorrow. Nice pop in the morning. Enphase might be one to watch tomorrow, going in and seeing how they do. As long as you get a big bounce. Make sure it doesn't break the 162, the 20 EMA and the hourly. Got a lot of nice support. That first reattempt, you should get a nice bounce. Energy might be a good one to play tomorrow. Energy's been kind of hauling everything as well. So we need something to help pull the market up. And considering big tech is falling apart, value is starting to fall apart. We'll take a quick look at the banks. GS slowly came back a little bit today. Let's check out the daily. We're still flirting with this. I don't like this setup. We did break this smaller wedge. We can actually remove this. We're still holding this lower level, this bigger wedge on the daily. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if we come back down and retest it tomorrow. Like I said, I think we could sell a little bit more. Banks might hold. Again, if banks start really selling, tech is in a bad spot. If value starts selling again, the whole market will coming down. Could easily get another 100 points on the index for some of these. So just be mindful of that. Trying to make sure I cover everything. There's a lot of different things going on, and I know I've been kind of jumping around, so I do apologize for that, and I do apologize for the coughing. I can't really help that, but nonetheless, I'll try to edit that out best that I can. Being said, the market is in a bad spot, and it's going to matter. So I haven't been swinging anything. I've been doing a lot of intraday trades because of that fact that you have to see where we land, take the position from that point. And again, the market is most active that first hour and a half and that last hour, and then that's pretty much it. And then the algos take over in the middle of the day. I don't recommend, if you're a day trader, not to be playing around midday. That's a really dead time where the algos take over and you're not going to win against algos. So I typically do it first time or last part of the day, or typically if I'm swinging, I'll take positions if it's options, longer durations, or if it's if it's shares for investment, or longer swings that I typically take during the middle of the day, or I just don't take no position at all until I kind of see what the market is doing. So that being said, that's pretty much what I got. Have to see where we open. Again, risk management is huge in this market. A lot of people are taking a beating. It's better just to be patient and not guess. Wait for the market to move before you take a position, so you know where the market is going. Is very key in this market. Don't guess and don't sit in options that are being chopped up, because it's not going to do you any good. Options are currently working against any trader right now. So if you don't know what you're doing, it's best to not even play options at this point. Play equity, or not even play at all. So be mindful. Don't lose all your money. Again, not financial advice. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.